Welcome to another edition of the Gridiron Report. I'm Jarret Johnson, and boy, it's on now. Texas Tech takes on Texas, 11 a.m. Central Time, Saturday in Austin. The game will be televised on ABC, so a national broadcast for the Red Raiders taking on, I guess you have to say it's probably Tech's biggest rival at this point, with A&M having been gone from the Big 12. Of course, Texas is about to be gone at some point in the near future from the Big 12, but of course there's the talk of Tech and Texas still playing each other in the major sports for the foreseeable future as well. So that helps. That softens the financial blow there, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about football game and 3-0 Texas Tech versus 2-1 Texas. And, I think the main question on most Red Raider fans' minds right now is, how good is this Texas Tech team, and Texas team actually for that matter. Texas Tech's 3-0. They trailed in each game, but was able to come back and win. I think epically against Houston, outscoring the Cougars 31-0 in the second half. CMF Austin was nothing epic about that, other than, I guess you could argue, the goal line stand, the goal to go stand that secured the victory. Because if we're sitting here at 2-1 with a loss to the Stephen F. Austin on the docket, then chances are many of you watching this probably aren't even watching this. You'd already given up on the season and the coaching staff and the players and all that, which on one hand would be understandable. I think you could argue it would be the worst loss in football program history. So, and then, of course, Tech came back and crushed Florida International like it should have. Offense looked great. Defense looked good. I think most people left that game feeling pretty dang good about the Red Raiders. But then again, you point back Florida International. Not one of the better teams in Division I football. So how good is this Red Raider team? I think it's pretty good. The ESPN FPI Football Power Index has Tech winning 7 games this year. That's what I've said since spring. I think this is a 7-win football team. I think if things go Tech's way, they could win more than that. By more than that, I mean 1 or 2 more, 2 tops. I don't see this as a 10-win team. I see this as a 7, maybe 8-win team. I don't see it being any worse than 5 wins. If they win even if they win just 5 games, you got to look at both from the coaching and player standpoint as just a failure of a season, because they're more talented than that. I'll tell you that. How much more talented? How cohesive is this team? How well can they execute? What is their willpower? All that kind of stuff. Right now they checked a lot of those boxes, but we won't know. We'll know a lot more after this game. I think, which is what the excitement around this game is. Beyond all the other stuff with Texas right now. Of course, them leaving, the whole basketball stuff with Coach Beard, all that stuff. So there's a lot of hate. I love good old-fashioned sports hate, and there's a lot of that between the two fan bases right now. But then you throw in the fact that, Tech had Texas beat. They were up 15 late, and Texas came back and beat them in overtime. And all the things that had to happen for Texas to win that game and for Tech to lose, it was amazing. That really took the heart out of the whole Tech fan base last year, losing that game. So I actually asked Coach Wells about that. How many people in this building have been just chomping at the bit to get back to this game, get another shot at this team after the way last year ended? And I know a lot of different players on both sides, different coaches on, for Texas, all that stuff. But still, you have still the fan bases, the logos, all of that. It's still Tech versus Texas, and all, And I was expecting more coach speak, but Coach Wells did say, look, that was obviously a really tough loss, and they're ready for this game. Let's put it that way. And EZ went even further to say that Coach Wells mentions that game a lot, that finishing games, not allowing teams to come back the way Texas did, of course, was a big emphasis this offseason. It's a big emphasis this week. So this is such a huge game for Tech on so many levels. But then when you flip it to Texas from their perspective, first year under Coach Sarkisian, they got, let's just face it, they got embarrassed against Arkansas. And I was just talking with Chip Brown over at Horns 247, and that was a tough one. They to get pushed around, and he said their defense was on the field a lot and just couldn't ever get some of that energy back in the second half against Arkansas to lose. I think the final score was just 40-21, but I think it was worse than that. But then you look at Texas; they have some really good athletes. They have one of the best running backs in the country in Bijan Robinson. They're going to have good talent, throughout the roster. They have a good defensive front. They'll have a good secondary. They always have good DBs. They have a couple really good linebackers. Casey Thompson is somebody they believe in. I think stat I was just told was they've scored like 16 of the last 18 possessions where he was a quarterback, and 14 of those were touchdowns. I mean, some of those were in garbage time, but not all of them. So, I mean, that's the name of the game, right? It's to score if you're a quarterback. So lead your team on scoring possessions. So I think Robinson's had a big part of that. That guy's a special player at running back, but still, Casey Thompson is something that I think we're all like. So he's talented. We think he's good. Texas thinks he's good, but how good is he? And this is one of the first tests for him, really, obviously this year. In Texas Tech. So in Texas Tech secondary, he's given up some receiving yards. Been great against the run. Giving up just 2 yards, or less than 2 yards a carry. The linebacking core for Tech is great. I wouldn't trade him for anybody in the Big 12, and I mean that. But the secondary can be had some in terms of yards. And they've kept teams out of the end zone for the most part. Scoring's down. So we'll see if that's the case. Can they keep Robinson down? Keep him from out of those explosive plays? Can they keep, and then Casey Thompson from hitting those receivers in some explosive plays? And really, I think we boil it all down this whole game. And I've been saying this all day today. Is I think both the run games and the run defenses will trade shots. I mean, I think there'll be some success for each team, and then I think they'll be bottled up some too. I mean, I really have respect for both the running games and the defensive fronts of both teams. But, so I think what it will come down to is when it's obvious passing down, when it's 3rd and 8 and the quarterback's got to make a play, which quarterback steps up? Is it Casey Thompson for Texas, or is it Tyler Shuck for Texas Tech, who's coming off his best game of his career, almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, like a mistake-free game? So which quarterback is going to step to the forefront? Which quarterback's going to protect the football, but while making plays for their team, move the chains, put up points when they're in the red zone? That's going to be the team that wins. So I really do think that this is going to be a close game, and there'll be some huge play, whether it be at the end of the 3rd or beginning of the 4th, that's going to turn the tide, and I think the dominoes will fall from there. Those teams will be fighting back and forth from there. But that's just how I just have a feeling about this game, that it's going to be close. And then I don't know who's going to win. I know Texas was favored pretty big. I saw as much as 13. Other places are saying it opened at 11, and I've seen as low as 8.5. I think it's either 8.5 or 9 right now, and I think that's pretty high actually. I see it more as being like a 6-point. I could see Texas being favored by 6 points, and that making sense. But I really feel like we're going to see a heck of a football game, and there's no telling how many crazy things are going to happen, and I can't wait. So buckle up. Big 12 opener for both teams. Tech is 3-0. Texas is 2-1. But the Longhorns are favored at home. We know that while Tech has won 2 of the last 3 in Austin, UT's riding a 3-game winning streak against Tech, and winning in Austin's always tough, and it's always been tough for Texas Tech. So that's definitely another storyline, but it can be done. Expect a close game. Can't wait. 11 a.m. Central Time in Austin. ABC is television. With that, thank you for watching, and until next time.